to Leading the Way podcast, where you'll learn neuroscience-backed ways to lead more effectively and have more fun at work with what you already have. Hey there, it's Chris from Leading the Way, and I'm stoked to have this amazing guest today, Jen Rafferty. Jen, thank you so much for being on Leading the Way podcast.
Oh, my
And
pleasure.
yeah, I was so stoked. So people, I've got to tell you why I'm so stoked to have her here. Jen Rafferty she's an educator, an author. She's a founder of Empowered Educator. Just a killer CEO. Since its inception, the Empowered Educator has reached teachers all over the world and school leaders as well. She's been featured in so many magazines, including Forbes and Authority Magazine and Medium and Thrive Global, Wellness Voice. And she's even done a TEDx stage with her talk, Generational Change Begins with Empowered Teachers. So powerful. She's also the host of her own podcast, Take Notes with Jen Rafferty, which is rated in the top 2.5% of podcasts globally. Her curiosity continues to make Empowered Educator, her amazing company, and their programs relevant and reflective of the most up-to-date research in mindset, leadership, and my favorite, cognitive neuroscience. Jen, welcome to the show again. Just stoked to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to have this conversation with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So just diving right in, I was reading your Forbes article, recent one, and it talks a bit about this notion that I think a lot of people have, like, to be a powerful leader like you are and do all the things you've done, you've got to have like this superhero mindset 24/7 and just grit it out and grunt it out. And the reality is something a little different than that. You'll have moments of doing that. And you talk about stepping into your capacity, but I wonder if you could reflect on, what's it really like being that powerful CEO and how do you recharge?
Sure. I think the superhero narrative is almost, it's well-meaning. I think people say it as a compliment. You're like, wow, you must be a superhero. We say this a lot for moms. We say this a lot for teachers, and we think about it. I don't know if we say it a lot, but we think about it a lot for leaders of companies, being these superheroes. And the truth is, it's a really dangerous narrative because superheroes are immortal. They are destructible beings who never need to take any time for themselves, let alone have needs at all. And
Right.
so it becomes this really tortured relationship we have with this idea of what we think we're supposed to be versus what we actually need because of who we are as incredible human beings. We can be super, but we are human,
Right.
and we have needs that need to be met in order to create more capacity and longevity in whatever it is you're doing.
Love that. I love that. And I know a lot of the listeners today, while they might have a successful career, they also have a side hustle, right? It's pretty normal, or interest in a side hustle. And, that can really stretch someone out, not done right. You can burn yourself out and kind of do poor at both of them, which really doesn't help anyone out, right? So I'm curious for you, because I know you've gone from being a teacher to the CEO to growing this company, and it continues to expand, and congrats on your success there. If you could write a letter or even just a post-it note to yourself 10 years ago, what are the things you would say to yourself?
Hmm. So I will be honest with you before I even answer that question. I actually keep a picture on my desk of my 6-year-old self.
Oh,
And it's because of that very question.
yeah.
It's that perspective of, what can I tell her,
Mm,
and who do I get to tell her that we are today because of the new choices we're making, and maybe letting go some of those old beliefs about hustle and grind. And I think, first and foremost, one of the biggest lessons, which is also something that's posted up on my desk, is enough is a decision. It is not an amount. And
oh,
you are the only person who gets to decide when it's enough.
wow.
And yeah, that to me is an important reminder throughout the day, because there's always going to be more money to make. There's always going to be more things to do. There's always going to be more things on your list. And if you're waiting for someone to tell you, good job, you're worthy now, you are always going to be chasing it.
Mm,
And the secret sauce is really knowing that you are inherently worthy because you woke up this morning. That the
Mm,
hustle and the grind that we continue to do to ourselves is in an effort to chase that sense of worth and that sense of value. But
mm,
your productivity does not equal your worth. And that has been so confused. And it's nobody's fault. It's in the air that we breathe. I mean, there's lots of reasons
right.
why I can go into it, but I don't think this is the place to do it, of why this has happened. But
Yeah.
it's in the air that we breathe. It's in the movies we watch. It's in the models we've seen and our leaders around us and the leaders who came before us and our parents and their generations before them. And we're at a point now to raise our conscious awareness of, is this actually serving me? Is this hustle and grind actually serving me? Is it serving my clients? Is it serving my company? Is it
Mm,
actually creating a good model and example for my kids? And if the
nice.
answer is, I don't know, it doesn't have to be a no, but if it's like, I'm not sure, that's enough for you to get really curious about it and potentially make some different choices.
Love that. I love that. And I would imagine too, don't know if this is true because I'm not a CEO like you, but I would imagine it can be easy to get distracted because there's all these new tactics and ways of doing things, and our Facebook and Instagram and feeds can be just fed with, here's the new thing, here's this new tactic, do this and you'll clear seven figures tomorrow. Ask me, I'm an expert. I just named myself one. How do you balance that? It sounds like your notion of enough and focusing on you and what you're capable of with some capacity stretch, not saying like, we don't stretch ourselves and grow, but how do you balance that out? Because I can only imagine, and maybe I'm wrong, but there's probably a lot coming at you like that you need to filter out.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, make seven figures on, a beach in Bali,
Right.
and overnight. And I think the essence of where I make decisions from comes from my definition of success.
Mm.
And that's something that everybody it needs to grapple with.
Hmm.
Coming from a place of education, especially, this is some of the things that we talk about in with my clients is, you've been learning that success means external accolades, A's on your papers, and how much money is in your bank account.
Mm.
And if we're continuing to grow up in this space where success is only measured by external things, well, you
Mm.
are always going to be chasing something, because what you're actually chasing is this feeling of, "Ah, I did it." So for me in
Mm.
my work and what I actually teach my clients and those who work with me is, success gets to be an inside job. And
Mm.
you get to decide your own definition of success. So I'll share mine with you. And if this resonates, great. And if you want to use it for food for thought, for make your own, awesome. But for me, my definition of success is to be able to feel the way that I want to feel for as many hours of the day as possible. That's
Nice.
it. That's it.
Nice.
And it has nothing to do with the number in my bank account, the number of conversions I had,
Right.
the feedback forms with the happy clients. None of that matters to my
Mm.
internal sense of success. Because if I can go to bed feeling spacious, feeling at ease and peace, feeling connected, feeling abundant, that's it. There is nothing else. And
Right.
I make decisions from that place too. So the distractions that you were talking about, it doesn't even come into my radar because it's so unaligned with who I am and how I want to be as my role, not just as a leader of this company, but as I walk through this world as Jen.
Yeah. So powerful. And it certainly takes work and effort and patterns, habits to create that. And I salute you for doing that, because I can only imagine when you're in that, I'm enough, I've got this, I'm a powerful state. You've got full access, as you know, from the neuroplasty stuff to your cerebral cortex, where, collaboration and problem solving and imagination, all those amazing brain parts are there instead of, distraction, or I'm not enough, or how many likes do I have, or fear of how do I close the next, all that stuff. That's normal human stuff. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's just, choosing to use it to your advantage. So awesome, awesome, awesome. I'm glad that's true for you. It's so powerful. I'm
Yeah,
curious.
thank you.
Oh yeah, I'm curious a little bit about, this amazing transformation. I have a big heart for teachers. My wife's a teacher. I've got kids in school. I see how tough it is for them and administrators. The ones that, this might sound judgy, but truly care and maybe haven't checked out. And I sure don't blame anyone for checking out of anything right now. The world's tough and traumatic. But the ones that really show up and do that and then get to work with you and do your amazing work, what sort of transformations have you seen in this really challenging time to be a teacher?
So the transformation really mirrors, my own transformation. And the reason why I say that is not from a place of ego, but from a place of I work the work. I practice every single thing that I teach. So I get to serve as an example and as an expander of what's possible. And
Mm,
while in my role, what I'm doing now, yes, I left the classroom. And by the way, I did not leave the classroom because I was burned out. That's something that I think, because of the stories that I share and what I teach, a lot of folks make that assumption. I loved it, and I would have stayed my entire career if
wow.
COVID didn't happen.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and a lot of things changed for a lot of people, but changed for me, and that's kind of where and when I shifted. Um, so what they get to do is know their worth.
Right.
They have the strategies of exactly what that transformation was that you just said, going from a place of external validation to knowing your worth and anything's possible. For
Mm,
me, that's where we need our teachers to be, because they are literally brain changers. They are creating
yes.
transformational, generational change. And we put so much focus, energy, attention, money on our kids. Obviously, we're in the business of kids.
Right.
And we need to pay attention and create time and energy and money invest in the people who are taking care of them, because
Yes.
they are setting the tone for what these kids are actually learning. We know, anyone who has kids know, they don't listen to anything that you say.
Right.
They
Right.
are watching you. They're watching you. And
Mm,
so when we get to work with teachers who know their worth, it's people say to me, well, Jen, people, teachers need more money. They need more respect. They need more resources. Yeah, you're 100% right. And if there are teachers who don't know their worth enough to ask for a bathroom break in the middle of the day,
right.
you're not getting a raise.
Right.
There's just so much incongruence. And
Right.
so we really work with educators, all educators, not just teachers, but teacher leaders, paraprofessionals, office staff, and parents, like full school communities,
Nice.
on a return to themselves. Because at the end of the day, and this is true for everybody, right? These are universal truths here. You are the only person who has any agency in anything for you.
Mm,
You cannot
mm,
control anything or anyone else. And we put so much of our attention externally that we get so disconnected from our power.
yeah.
And this is all about returning to you so you can live in that full, authentic expression of who you are. That's how we make change.
So powerful. Yeah, million
Yeah.
percent true. Million percent
Yeah.
true. I'm I can only imagine as you grow this, it's I'll use the word special. People use whatever word you want, but it's unique that to have an executive that's so heart-centered and really cares about that and walks the talk. It's easy, frankly, to cut corners on that or, oh, I'll just do this strategy, right? It's very easy to go that route and just stay that heart-centered and it's enough and be worthy and build that in your organization. What are your thoughts on, I know you've already scaled up and you'll probably continue to scale up because you've been very successful, attracting that, right? And other folks or building that up in your team. Do you have, you know, concerns about that or you feel just comfortable it'll just happen? Any thoughts around that?
That's a great question. I I have full faith in myself. I mean, that's really what it is. It is a
Yeah.
full belief in myself that, you know, I am continuing to strengthen my self-trust muscle.
Mm.
Something that you don't wake up and you're like, I trust myself today and we're good now. All of these empowering things that, we're talking about, right? I also want to be very clear. It's a journey and it is not a completely straight line upward trajectory of how this works. There are moments in time often where I am, lying on the floor sobbing,
Yeah.
where, it's, the fear gets very loud. But what happens is I know how to navigate
Mm,
the fear. I know how to navigate the biology of my brain. I know that I am not my brain. I'm a person who has a brain. And
right.
that metacognitive space is the best, most fun place to play.
Yeah.
I have a very clear vision for what I want my company to look like that has lots of wiggle room because I don't know everything. I can't possibly know everything. And
Sure.
I love that I don't know everything. So trusting myself that when, timing and lighting is right, the right people walk in. And if they are not the right people, there's a lesson to be learned. And we
Yeah.
keep moving forward,
Yeah.
and does it scare me? Not today.
Yeah. 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 Right.
Not today. But it is acknowledging the fear. We also have this idea, I think, in being leaders in companies that fearlessness is a thing. It's not a thing.
Mm,
Your fear is biological, and this idea
right.
that we need to push through the fear actually makes it worse. And
Right.
so, your question kind of inspires me to answer it in this way because unless we're acknowledging this fear for what it is, this
Yeah.
primal need to keep you alive, you're never going to get past it. You're going to continue to berate yourself of like, I should be better than this. I should
Right.
know better. I should, and all the shoulds then come in and all of the other disempowering talk track. That's just not helpful. So acknowledging the fear when it comes up, you're like,
Yeah.
hey, I was expecting you. let's
Right.
let's have a chat. What do you want to say to me right now? Feel through whatever needs to feel through. Sometimes it's crying, sometimes it's screaming, sometimes it's going to a rage room, sometimes it's resting, and then, moving forward. That's the whole game.
Totally. No, it's so well said. When leaders can show vulnerability, and there's, lots of thoughts about how to do that and not do that. But anytime in my career, and I'm sure other listeners, I'm sure you, is they show vulnerability that they're human. My intent is like, how the heck can I help this person? And boy, do I want to keep working with them because they're showing up real. Like it just, 1,000,000%. And yes, there's always outliers. We're not talking about we're in a state of war in the military. And that's a very different time. And thank goodness that's a small percentage of where the human existence is. But most of the time, when a leader can be vulnerable, that really builds like amazing strength on the team instead of this superhero mindset, right? Or just
100%.
just grunt it through.
Yeah.
And yeah, we don't want to be a pool of goo. That's not so useful on the other end of the spectrum. But I think it's very powerful, and I love that you're vulnerable, even on this podcast about it. That's a sign of a really strong leader, I
Yeah,
think.
thank you. I received that. And it's funny that I'm gonna you said pool of goo. It made me smile. Because I think that's what people fear.
Yeah,
That there's this dichotomy of like, I have it all together or I'm a
right,
pile of goo. And the truth is there is this beautiful oscillation that gets to happen when you allow yourself to go there and become goo, if you will. It creates space and strength for you to show up with more endurance and
mm,
more longevity. And I'm certainly not suggesting being the goo, if you will, in a high stakes meeting or a meeting with your team. But
right,
if that's what needs to happen before or after, honor your body and do that, because
right.
that's your body's telling you that it needs to express some emotion in that way. And that's you honoring yourself. You not doing that is a self-betrayal.
That's so well said. Yeah, and it's that self relationship, which I won't dive into, but it is so powerful too, where we're, as you said it so well, acknowledging what's going on instead of pretending it's not, because we don't want to create trauma for ourselves and have, yet more baggage to deal with. Or say, hey, right now I need let's do this in 6 hours, like we would do maybe with our kids or our loved ones. I'm like, I can't have this discussion right now. It's incredibly important. Let's do it 6 hours from now. Let's do it tonight. Let's do it tomorrow morning. Right. And then, oh, it has a package and your brain can package it up and it doesn't have, massive residence over you for time. So
Yeah,
awesome
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Um, other tools or any ideas you want to give, quick tips? I know this work isn't just a quick hit sort of thing. We joked about that before with 7 million bucks and Bali on the beach, but you talked about being enough, which is super powerful. Any other things you want to share with folks listening?
Sure, I can share this. This is actually a life-changing thing if you commit to it. And if you're listening, commit to it for the next 5 days. Like you can do this for 5 days. And they are simply just breathing breaks.
Mm.
And I still do. I set 4 alarms in my phone and they go on, throughout the day. And when the alarm goes off, I stop what I'm doing, hand to heart, eyes closed, and I do 3 rounds of a box breath. In for 4, pause for 4, exhale for 4, pause for 4. I do it 3 times. It takes maybe 30 seconds. Okay. So if you're
Mm.
telling me I don't have time to breathe, let's check in with your priorities, please. And
Right.
what this is doing is when you do this 4 times a day, it is creating self awareness. We are raising conscious awareness because it doesn't matter if you have a meditation practice in the morning and a gratitude practice at night. Your life
Hmm.
happens during the day.
Right.
And the way our brain works is you're on autopilot. It's super efficient, but you will never make any changes if you are not interrupting your day. And
Mm.
so taking those 4 breaks throughout the day for just a week. And then if you want 5 days, if you want to continue, great. And if you don't, fine. That will not only raise your conscious awareness of what you're thinking, you will connect with your body. Oh, that's so interesting. My stomach was in knots. I didn't even realize, what was I thinking about right then? And then you have this moment of, do I really even want to continue thinking that thought? Is that an important thought to think? And we get to start to play with, you are not your brain. Your thoughts are options. You are a person who has a brain and you get to decide what thoughts you want to attach to. But if you are not using your metacognitive abilities to think about your thinking, you will never, ever, ever change. And
Yeah.
the last thing about that is you are going to teach your body, because you're going to give it evidence 4 times a day, that it's safe to be quiet,
Mm.
that it's safe
Mm.
to be still. And we're so go, 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 go that even sitting in stillness for 30 seconds can feel unsafe to your nervous system.
Yeah.
So we're training your system, you're rehearsing, you're practicing the safe so that you can continue to make different choices if you want to.
So powerful. That was a great tip. Wow. I highly encourage everyone to do that. And I'm going to do it too. I forgot about box breathing. It's such a great tool. And I know you have tons of things like that, but it really isn't about the tools. It's to get folks in that space where they're productive. As you say, we are not our brains. We have a brain and all the other skills that you have. Jen, for our listeners, and we'll put this in the show notes. So if you're driving or working out, don't have an accident or fall off the treadmill. Um, how can folks reach out and engage with you? What's a good way for them to connect?
Sure. So my website is empowerededucator.com. Email hello@empowerededucator.com. I'd love to hear from you, whether or not you're a teacher. We all know a teacher. We all have kids who go to school with teachers. I work with PTAs. I work with, local YMCAs, like all like adjacent school organizations as
Mhm.
well. And I would really love to just continue to have a conversation with folks who are ready to have this conversation. The other place is Instagram is at Jen Rafferty _, and there's lots of really great content on there too. So I'm excited to see where this is going, keeping planting seeds in people who are ready to talk about this.
Yeah. So powerful. And it's just, I'm imagining, of course, those teachers touch 20, 40, 100 kids a day and they touch 22 people. I mean, the work you do has massive positive outreach. So, thank you for choosing to do that and choosing to help everyone show up. And as you say, it's a whole community. It's not just the teachers, it's the whole education professional community. It's the parents around them, it's the kids themselves. And you can't think of anything more important. I think folks can get high centered on other things, but the legacy we leave is these kids and setting them up for this massive win and building their resilience and skills. And so thank you so much for doing that and helping others do that. I know of no more important work, at least in this moment, than that.
Thank you. I received that. I agree. And I
Yeah.
and I received that. Yeah, it's my favorite thing to do.
Excellent. Excellent. So before we close out, I always love to ask our amazing guests, what's one thing that you're thankful for right now?
Mm. Right now, I am thankful for my air conditioning. Air conditioning because it is so hot and sticky outside, and we all know it's we don't get good work done. It's very hard to feel my feelings of ease and peace and spaciousness when it's 100 degrees. So I'll keep it light, and that is what I'm grateful for today.
Nice. No, that's important to escape the liquid concrete goo and cool off. So I'm so glad you have that. And again, super thankful, Jen. Thank you so much for being on. Awesome listeners and humans out there. Hopefully you're both the same listeners and humans, but aliens as well. So glad you're listening. And please, subscribe so you can hear more awesome guests just like Jen. Thanks so much, and keep leading the way.
Thank you for listening to Leading the Way podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe so you won't miss other great episodes like this one. And if you're ready for more in your workplace, be sure to go to aintent.com. You'll find lots of free tools, assessments, and ways to engage directly with us to get your own epic results. We'll see you there.